about the Himalayan. We need to have a little talk. Let's get this review on the road. If you haven't been on the Kamikaze Moto channel in a while, welcome back. I know it took me forever to get this review out, and I'm not going to make too many excuses. I've been quite busy. It's been a long winter. As you can see, it's springtime now. We've got green, snow's melting away. We've got just, snow up on the mountains still a little bit, but it's plenty warm enough for me. A lot of times I just ride with pant liners in, but today that is not the case. Things are good. So my voice might sound a little different. This is the first time, or the first video I'll be posting where I'm using my Bluetooth headset. It's a Sena 30K to get the voice audio into the camera. So hopefully this works out pretty good. I did some tests. It's a little funny because it blocks out so much wind noise and engine noise that my voice sounds a little bit digital. Oh, what the heck? It's dark over here. Oh man, I had all the sun on my house. Now it's all shady. So I'm going to do this comprehensive review, and I've had a lot of people asking about it. But I want to say real quick, just a big thank you to everybody, because my experience with YouTube has been incredible. It's just been overwhelmingly positive. Lots of great feedback from people. Tons of great feedback. And I really enjoyed connecting with everybody, communicating. Some people talk more than others, and for some reason I could get into a conversation with someone more than another, whatever, but I really enjoyed connecting with people all over the world. And I have to say that as much fun as my trip was last summer, bringing the bike from Seattle to Alaska, it made it more fun to post that video, or the video series, and connect with everyone. So again, just thank you. I really appreciate it, and it definitely was encouraging to keep doing some things. And that said, I've got a lot of stuff planned for this summer in Alaska. We're going to take a little cruise here just for fun. I'm going to cruise up this little windy road. It's a little risky because there's gravel on our roads. There's some sharp turns, but it should be pretty clear now. And we'll cruise on up and we get a little view. So I'm going to head up there. Okay, so this is Skyline Drive, right near my house. And I just wanted to show you a little bit of twisty roads. And I wasn't even paying attention. I should mention, this bike handles great on turns. I really can't believe it. During some of my riding through Canada, I noticed that. I mean, I was really having fun and riding it a bit like a sports bike, And I wasn't hauling ass, but still, I'd be going 65, 70 in these turns and just felt planted and hooked in. I'd only feel a little upset if there was like a bumps in the road or something like that. Well, here we are, folks. So down below, that's Eagle River. And then, let's see, can we see Anchorage? No, we can't. So Anchorage, Alaska is off that direction. You see that water there, so it's right along the water. It's just behind, this truck, and some trees are in the way. But this is the view from Skyline Drive, and then right behind me is some trails. You can go hiking in Eagle River and get up even higher, get a really good view. All right, let's make our way back down. So there are other reviews, and I really encourage everybody to check them out. And I'd like to name a few, because I don't like just copying what other people are doing. I think you'll get a better, more complete picture of what this bike can do if you look at other reviews. So you should consider watching Norley on her channel, Itchy Boots. She has a review video, and I'll link to that video in my description. She is from Holland. Then there's a guy from France, Dominique. He's got an excellent review, and his is totally different from Norley's. He talks about his experience, but then he goes and gets his bike maintenance done, and he films the maintenance, and they inspect what's going on. They see if there's any damage, any problems. He talks to the sales manager there while he's asking questions and answering questions. So Dominique's video is really good. He speaks in French, so you'll have to read the subtitles if you can't speak French. I can't speak French, so that's the way it goes. Then there's a guy in the UK who's done some things. Nathan, his channel is Nathan the Postman. Again, I'm going to link to all these. Oh, and Dominique, his channel is called GS Vintage. But anyway, back to Nathan. His channel, I believe, is Nathan the Postman. So he did this review where he just kind of sat in front of the computer and talked. His stuff is, well, some of it's kind of bare bones. Some of it's a little bit more elaborate. He does some rides, but his review mainly, his initial review, is he's just talking. One thing I like about Nathan is that he keeps things kind of like basic, to the point. You know, his expectations of the bike are realistic for what it is and the size that it is and the power that it puts out. Some of his discussion's a little dry, but you're not left wondering if his comments are honest or not, or if he's just blowing steam or not. I mean, it's just a discussion. And then the last review I would direct you to, I don't know the guy's name, but the channel is Everride. It's spelled Eve Ride, like EVE Ride, but I'm certain it's Everride is the way it's pronounced. And that guy has, he does some tours and things like that in the desert, like Southwest US. I'm not exactly sure where, I don't remember, but he's in like desert areas, so he takes the Himalayan. His is a whole different experience from everybody else. He's got the trails and the rock and the sand, and he's got to bounce over some bedrock, and so that's pretty cool. And he had an early review. Now it might have been an early review, but it was pretty comprehensive for how much riding he did off-road. I didn't agree with everything. Like, he got on road and he was wondering about the speed and the power on the road, and he had concerns about that. I found that the on-road riding was great, just like right here, right now. But check that out as well. So I will link to all these, and I just wanted to give them all a shout out because their stuff is good and it's just different from mine, and viewers get more information. Now, speaking of other viewers, I wanted to mention a few things that early reviewers had issues with that I did not have an issue with. So, for instance, a dumb little thing. Someone complained about the compass, that it wasn't pointing in the right direction. Well, I don't know if you can see on my dash right now. The compass points to north, everybody. That's how compasses, you need to know where's north. Your direction is in the middle, so I'm headed south, and the arrow is pointing behind me. I'm not sure, and I know it sounds silly, but I think that some people actually thought the compass should be pointing the direction that you're going. I don't know. Anyway, I don't have a problem with my compass. Another issue somebody had was speed and stability. Like, there was this lady that reviewed the Himalayan, and I think what these people are doing is they get the bike right away. They want to be the first review. They go out for a day and they come back to the dealership, drop the bike off, and then they spit out a review. And there's no way that they're gonna have useful information for everybody, unless it's just about like, oh, the seat feels comfortable, or you know, the handlebars are in a good place. But yeah, of course. But as far as like riding on the highway and long term, and you can't do these one-day reviews and give people something useful. So this lady went out, and after her, you know, day or a half a day of riding, maybe it was even less, she said she was a little bit afraid to go on the highway. Like, it wasn't stable. She was scared to take it on the highway again. Well, you saw me on the highway. I wasn't having trouble. I think what it is people's own comfort level and their own experiences, which she may have had a weird experience. She might have had a loose, like the steering head or something might have been loose. Who knows what. But I found the bike to be pretty stable. Now, if you're in a turn and the road is lumpy, yeah, you might feel a little wobble. Like, I don't know if you can see this, you know, it's the slightest, like very tiny. I'm barely doing this. Well, maybe that freaked her out, but you know what? This is an off-road worthy bike with all suspension. You know, that front end's high, the wheel's 21-inch wheel on the front. If you're gonna be buzzing through turns and hit a weird patch of pavement, or maybe like one of those snake patches on cracks, you're gonna feel something. And no offense, but if you're scaredy cat, well then you might think that might just freak you out too much. I don't know. I felt some little shimmy here and there. Maybe you change lanes over the paint, or little things like that, you know, and you feel it. Or the wind blows a certain way, or you shift really fast. Because you shift really fast, you kind of jerk your steering wheel. That can happen. But otherwise, it's fine. The bike's fine. I rode fast on the highway. It was stable and quick. I didn't have any issues, and I was passing people. I didn't have any problem with the speed. And let me think, what else did people have an issue with? That's really all I can recall aside from that whole power issue. Oh, vibration. That's the last one. So I'm riding right now, and I can feel that this is a single cylinder engine, but the vibration is not bad. I'll tell you what's bad. My Bandit. After 30-40 minutes of riding that thing, my middle finger on my throttle hand is white and numb. But on this bike, on the Himalayan, I can ride all day long with no trouble. So the vibration is not bad. I stand behind Royal Enfield when they talk about the vibration being, you know, nominal to nothing. I would say it's definitely nominal. And it's just a single cylinder, but the counterbalancers work good. There is a vibration I think people are talking about at anywhere, it's roughly around 5,300 RPM to 58. And it's not really a vibration, it's the engine working harder. I believe it is timing advance. And you feel it when the bike is kind of under strain. Now, you got a 411cc, there are definitely going to be more times where you feel the bike under strain. Well, any bike might have that depending on what you're doing. Check out these turns. I have more fun in these turns on this than my Bandit, because it's like heavy, right? So you really got to fight that thing. This is so light, I can just tip it in. It's my opinion, you know, based on having the Bandit. I love that this thing is so light. But if I wasn't behind this van, I'd probably be cruising a little bit faster. But so there's that engine feeling that you get, and you could call it a vibration, you could call it popping, you could feel it. It's not like pre-detonation or anything like that. It's just the engine is lugging, and it's when the bike's under strain. So if you're trying to go fast and uphill at the same time, and you're in that RPM range, you might feel that engine. If you're into the wind and you're trying to go quick and you got all this luggage on the back, or you've got, you know, a passenger on the back, you may feel that engine at times in that RPM range. There's nothing to be concerned about. Who knows? Maybe after I put this power module in and do the, you know, remap the ECU, whatever I got to do, maybe it'll go away. Maybe they'll change the timing and it'll go away. But what I can tell you is that it's not a big deal, and you can just get used to it. And then here's what happens. Later on, you'll be riding again, and you're at that same RPM range, but you don't feel that engine at all. Well, that's because you're not going uphill, or you're not riding into the wind, or you're not carrying a bunch of weight. So that's what happened to me. After I got home and I got my luggage off the back, and then I was on the highway, on flat highway, cruising along, still doing 70 miles an hour. That engine wasn't doing it. So that's that. I don't have any problems with vibration on this bike. I like it. I like the way it feels. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. So for the rest of this review, I'm going to do pros and cons. My pros and cons, what I experienced on my trip, and then once I got home. I'm not going to do all that while riding. Welcome to my backyard. Okay, guy, what the heck was that? Was he trying to let me pass, but didn't want to wait? Ah, here we go. That's cool. Well, bummer. I thought I was going to cruise. I've actually never been up on this street. Thought it might be worthwhile checking the view. You know what? I got a couple positive things to say about this bike while I'm riding it. Some of my pros. You can be in a higher gear, and like I'm doing right now, just sort of like chug along. So that torque that it puts out is nice. You know, you're in a lower RPM, lower speed. But what I found on my trip, oh, this is cool. I didn't know this little pullover was here. Good deal. What I found on my trip was that I'd see an animal on the side of the road, and I'd pull over, or, you know, get to the side of the road, and I would just sort of putt along, nice and slow, but I hadn't changed gears, and I would just creep along, still in a higher gear. And then if I wanted to take off, you know, I'd roll the throttle slowly, and I'd build up speed slowly, or obviously at that point, go ahead and downshift and take off. But I really like, you know, the power in the bottom end. And of course, that same torque and being able to crawl like that, that's great for the trail work. So that was a big pro. And then the other one is the shifting. That's something worth talking about while riding. And I'll show you in a minute here. They let me cruise on. I guess I'm not really going slow enough, am I? So that torque can get you up this hill with no problem. Of course, I'm in a low gear, but this is pretty steep. Friendly guys, what a great place to work. What a good day. Okay, so talking about the shifting. Check this out, watch my left hand. You can shift really fast. And I like that because on the Bandit 1200, it likes shifting fast. If I shift slow on that bike, it clunks. It feels awful. So it's like the faster I shift, the more it likes it. Nice and smooth. And when I picked up this bike, I didn't expect that at all. I don't know what I expected. I definitely thought I was going to have to kind of change my habits. But this thing shifts really good, really nicely, and it appreciates a fast shift. You don't have to, but you can. And again, I like that because it's what I'm used to. So the fast shifting, and like I mentioned before, the sporty riding, the ability to ride this kind of in a sporty way, if you want to get on it and lean in the turns, you can do it. So those are a couple pros for the bike that we're sharing while riding. Well, I could actually go down there and park. Tell you what, I think I'll do that. Let's get this review done and over with. I'm stretching it out here, but hopefully you're getting some good information and some good riding. And then on the way home, I'll try to pick up the pace a little bit. Welcome to my home. All right, let's do this, shall we? I've got some cue cards so that I don't miss anything, and I've been trying to keep track of questions that people have asked me, things that have popped into my mind, you know, like maybe I'm just laying there in bed thinking about my ride and like I have a memory or recall something that I wanted to share with everybody. So anyway, I jotted some things down on some cards here so I don't miss anything at all, and then I'll try to keep this brief while still being informative, right? And then we'll get back to the rest of the ride and we'll try to pick up the pace going through these turns, so stay tuned for that.
I'm going to do the cons first, you know, anything that's negative, and I'll get right into it. So first negative thing, my battery. My battery's shot. So, you know, it's basically a brand new battery. I forget the brand name, but it's the distributor is in Wisconsin. I don't know where the battery is made, not that it matters, but either way, it feels like a solid battery. It should have lasted longer. My experience with my battery in the Suzuki Bandit back home is that that thing can sit for a month or two with no trickle charge and the bike will still fire up. Yet the battery in this bike with a maintenance charger on it, keep that in mind, it was still shot. So I don't know what's going on there. In a video following this one, I get into taking out that battery, testing it. I did some testing for like parasitic draw, or I did some testing for, you know, if the battery was getting a charge from the bike and whatnot. So anyway, you can check that video out after this one. I'll post that pretty soon. But anyway, so the battery, it's a negative, it's shot. I don't know what the deal is, but it should have lasted longer. This is a kind of a little dumb one. The spark plug cap. If you didn't know any better, you may go to take your cap off and it hits the underside of the gas tank, right? And then you think that you can't get the plug cap off without taking the tank, or at least lifting the tank up a little bit. That's not the case. You can get the spark plug cap off, which is crucial if you break down somewhere or you suck some water in or who knows what. You have to be able to pull your spark plug out. You may just want to clean your plug, you know. The cap to the plug is very tall. Of course, it's a stiff cap. It does hit the underside of the gas tank, but you can angle it and then try to get the spark plug cord, you know, pushed and bent a little, and then you push it up really hard. You can get it. That said, while you're doing all that, there's more chance for damaging the cord, snapping the cap somehow, or whatever, putting too much torque or pressure on the spark plug itself and causing damage. So if the cap was a little bit shorter or more like flexible, for instance, in most cars, I mean, any car I've had, a lot of the spark plug cap is sort of it's rubberized and it's a little bit flexible near the top. So anyway, somebody might just want to put a shorter cap on and then not have that problem, but it's a little bit hard to get off. No big deal. Wire placement and fasteners. When you get this bike, or the first time you go look at it, if you get up close and you start looking at details, back up in here, wiring is sort of bunched together and then zip tied with like multiple zip ties. Here's a zip tie, here's another zip tie, and then it's sort of held in place with the zip ties. That should be done better. That's my opinion. It doesn't affect the functionality of the bike. I don't think it would cause any long-term issues, except for maybe the wiring and some connections might still be a little more open to the elements. But just the organization of it and the placement and the fasteners and using zip ties, which may get brittle over time and snap out, it could be done better. So for whatever it's worth, that's kind of a negative. This is a funny one. This is actually, if I had a favorite negative thing about the bike, it's this. You pop the seat off, there's a little case in there, and anybody who's ever had a motorcycle, especially an older bike, knows that that little case is for your owner's manual. So you grab your owner's manual, you go to put it in there, and it doesn't fit. It's ridiculous. There's an owner's manual box, but the manual does not fit in there. So hopefully Royal Enfield can just get their graphics people. I'll do it for you if you want. I do graphics. I can do print graphics. I'll lay it out for you. I'll change the size and the shape of the owner's manual, and we'll get it to fit that box. Anyway, kind of silly. So the box that's under there, I'll probably show some video of that. You could put some things in there, but it's really skinny. You know, it's only meant for like a booklet. So it's only about like this deep, if you can see what I'm doing here. It's like this deep. You could put like some scissors and a knife, like a carpenter's knife in there, you know, things that are thin. You could put some rubber gloves, a few sets of rubber gloves maybe. You could make use of that space. You could put a little battery pack in there, actually, like those, like a power pack, you know, to help charge your phone or whatever. Or fold up a map maybe and fold it to the size that you need and it'll fit in there. But it will not receive and accommodate your owner's manual. So tough luck. Couple more negatives. The mirror. In some of my video footage, especially the last, like, part 4 and 5, I think, of the video bringing the bike up here to Alaska, you saw me adjusting my mirror. I'd be riding and then I'd reach over and I kept adjusting the mirror. Well, that's because it's just loose. The wind blows it down. The wind, just the wind. So if I go on the highway and I'm doing like 60, 65, that'll blow down. Never stays put. Super annoying. It is cheap. It's a cheap mirror. Now, they're easy to replace and they're cheap to replace. So if you wipe out and you break it or you scratch it all up, it's not a big deal. But at the very least, it does need to function as your mirror. So it needs to be a little stiffer. I'm going to keep this one. I'm just going to grab a little bit of that, like hardening putty that you mix the putty together. I'm going to cram it up in here and it'll harden and the mirror will be fixed at that point. And then I'll only replace the mirrors if, you know, really, if it's necessary. Just had a little butterfly land in my head. A couple more negatives. The pull on the front brake. So this is not the performance of the brakes. I'm basically fine with that. They could make some improvements, but it's fine. This is just the pull. You pull the brake, and when you feel it stop right here, it bottoms out. You expect that the brakes are going to start gripping. They don't. There's zero grip. You have to squeeze a little harder. You have to keep pulling. So I guess I don't really like it because other bikes aren't like that and you expect it to be the same thing. However, all you got to do is just pull a little harder. You learn it, you know. And if this is your only bike or your main bike, you're going to get so used to it, you'll never even notice it. I already don't notice it. The performance of the brake is fine for me. I think it's absolutely adequate, especially with the weight of this bike. It does the trick. The brakes work. But you do have to squeeze a little harder. And it's kind of surprising. I noticed it right away, and other people have commented on it too as well. So it's definitely a consistent thing with these bikes. And then my last negative, I just discovered it, although I did hear it from some other review on YouTube. The shift lever, the distance from your foot peg to the shift lever is not very far. So if you have big boots on, you can forget about getting your foot underneath that lever unless you rotate it up, but then it's going to be in an awkward position for downshifting, so that's not good. If anybody knows of a longer shifter that's for this bike, whether it's from Royal Enfield or it's from aftermarket, you know, manufacturer, please let me know. I'd be interested in buying one. I'd also be interested in an adjustable lever that will work on the Himalayan. I think it'd be really cool to bring the shifter back if I got some low profile touring boots on, or like these riding shoes. I'll bring the lever back. If I put on my new TCX, what did I get? I got the TCX Drifter WP boots for like more off-road adventuring. Those are like those tall, big, honking, you know, almost like a motocross. Oh, got a little dog barking going on. Anyway, they're kind of like a MX style boot, but for adventure touring. They don't fit underneath that lever, so it's kind of annoying. In order to shift, I got to really cock my left foot on a weird angle and just catch the shifter with my toe. So let's get into the pros, and then after that we'll get back on the road and ride and try to take these turns a little bit quicker and have some fun. First big pro. It was the very first thing that I noticed about the Himalayan that I really liked, and I was really surprised. The shifting, the smoothness of the shifting is way better than I had imagined. I showed that while I was riding, so I'm just reiterating. It's quick, it's smooth. You can shift quick if you want. I like to shift quick because that's what I'm used to with my Suzuki Bandit. So I didn't have to get a new habit of shifting slower. Shifting's really good. Highway riding is good. You've all seen that in the videos. I was cruising at the highway speeds. I was passing traffic. I was climbing uphill, going quick. And there was even one of my videos where I put text on the video of my speed, my RPMs, and the fact that I was going uphill and I was still doing, I don't know, what was it, 70, 75 miles per hour or whatever it was. It was totally adequate. Now, if you live in a place, so for instance, Michigan. I originally come from Michigan, and the speed limit there on the highways is 75 miles per hour, which means normal traffic, other drivers might be doing 80 or 85. If that's the case and you have the Himalayan, you may want to just stay in the slower lane most of the time, let them pass you. But you could still be going 70 miles an hour the whole time, which is the speed limit for a lot of other states. So most of the riding I did, I was speeding. Like the whole trip, the highways in the US and in Canada, I was going over the speed. So I thought it did great on the highway. But you may live in a state where there's an even faster speed limit, and therefore you may want to stay in the slow lane. Not that you're going slow, but just to be, you know, riding more safely and letting other traffic pass you easily. One of the big pros for me, I was showing, and we're going to show some more. You can ride this like fun. You can kind of get on it, you can lean it, you know, you can have fun in the turns. And I wasn't expecting that with this bike, but compared to my Bandit, which is kind of sporty, I got to be honest, I actually have a little bit more fun with this, because in the Bandit, although it can take off really fast, it's got all this power to climb, I don't have to shift, I don't have to worry about that. And the top speed is way faster than this, of course. But I can't really ride through the turns so fast because it's a heavy bike. You know, you're constantly trying to make sure that you don't overshoot the turn. Whereas this, it's so light that you can go a little quicker, especially on a road like this where there's driveways and some blind corners and things like that. Like, you can go a little bit quicker because it's so light. You can stop faster, you can lean easier. These tires do really great. So I actually have more fun on this. I know, right? Believe it or not. And I feel safer, and because it's lighter, it's just easier to handle. So for whatever it's worth, you can ride this kind of like a, you know, in a sporty or a sport bike kind of fashion if you want to. It'll do better than you would think. Another pro is the tires, and that goes along with the sporty riding and the handling and all that. The tires were great. These are the Pirelli MT60s, and my whole trip I felt nicely planted. I felt really confident. I rode fast in really rainy weather, although I didn't put that video footage into the videos just because I didn't want to mess up my cameras and all that. But these tires do really great. I did get on some gravel and they were fine. They could have been better on the gravel, so they definitely have kind of a bias towards the highway riding, which is what I was doing, and I think a lot of other people, that's kind of what they're going to be doing too. So it handled on the gravel, and I felt safe enough to go quick, and you'll see that in the previous videos if you go back and watch. But it definitely did awesome on the highway. Lots of grip and traction. Handling was good. So, and then again, lean, turning, you know, getting some good angle on the bike. The tires did great. I never slipped at all. Part of that's because the power plant in the Himalayan isn't putting out so much horsepower that you're going to break traction easily anyway, but just lateral grip, you know, when you're in some turns and all that, it's great with the Pirellis here. The easy serviceability, and I say easy, that's for if you know how to do those things. Like if you've adjusted valves before on a car or any other motorcycle, you can do this too. It's easy. It helps to have the proper tools, but the service on this is easy. For one thing, everything's nicely accessible. You can get to all the parts and components, and then it doesn't require so many special tools. There's a number of different reasons, but so I found the service to be pretty easy. I will say though that for people that like to say that this bike is getting back to basics, I think they are implying that everybody can maintain this bike, everybody can fix it if it breaks down. Well, that's not really the case. Let's not forget that the Himalayans here in the US and the new Himalayans, oh, check this out. Big moose. So I'm going to turn the camera around before he's gone. See him? Oh, it's so far away. Maybe it'll come closer. Oh, it is going to come closer. well, welcome to Alaska. Okay, so I'll get this back and we'll do, I'll keep going, and if the moose comes around some more, which it is, coming at me a little bit, I gotta get this lined up, but if it comes closer, I'll keep recording it. It is coming closer. Well, it's kind of, the moose is, it came closer, but it's walking off into the trees. So, wow, I'm super distracted now. I'm not sure where I was at. This is why I love being here. I mean, come on, it's so cool. What a total stroke of luck, too, that I'm shooting video. I'm just trying to keep my eye on it. Yeah, okay, it's going kind of deeper in back over here now. So, I totally lost track of everything that I was saying, but, oh yeah, so servicing the bike and like getting back to basics. Well, you have electronic fuel injection, you got this fuel pump. Most of us, we're not going to be able to fix that if it goes out. So don't kid yourself. If you, yeah, just, everybody would benefit from learning about electronic troubleshooting, especially with this specific bike if you can. Maybe even talk to the mechanics, possibly if they've got time, go to the shop, talk to them if they're willing, so that before you go on your big journey or big adventure, you kind of have an idea of how to troubleshoot if your fuel injection is failing. That's going to be the biggest crutch if you break down and you're not sure if it's that electronic fuel injection or the fuel pump. Now the fuel pump, if it's not working, you turn the key on and the dash lights up, but you don't hear that fuel pump, you know you have a fuel pump problem. It may just be a connection to the fuel pump, the wiring itself. That would be nice and easy. But if it's not that, you'd be kind of stuck. But everything else, yes, it's easy, it's simple. If you know what you're doing and if you've got the tools. So I like that. That's a big pro. Then the comfort of the Himalayan. The seat is a little on the soft side, but I kind of like that. And I rode for hours and hours and I was nice and comfortable. And I also like the texture of this vinyl that's on here. I don't think it's super durable. If the bike tipped over and there was a stick that poked it, it would probably get right through. Or, I don't know, if somehow some rocks hit this area here, I don't know if that's possible if you drop the bike over. I know if you look at the Itchy Boots channel on YouTube with Nora Lee, some of her videos now you're seeing where her seat's all worn out and worn through, even though her bike's not that old. Granted, she's done a ton of riding, but I think a lot of other motorcycles have a thicker vinyl that lasts longer than what this stuff does. So that's just a fact, but I like it. I'm just not looking forward to the day that it actually does get a puncture or a tear or something like that. It should be easy to get upholstered and probably not even that expensive. Okay. So for me, I guess in a way, I'd rather have nice comfort and then go ahead and have to reupholster it a couple years later than to have something that's not comfortable at all. That's just me. The placement of the handlebars and the pegs, seating position, that was all perfect for me. In fact, I would say that the overall package of the bike, from the looks to its purpose or purposes to the seating position and the cost, I feel like I was Royal Enfield's picture perfect candidate for a Royal Enfield, for being a Royal Enfield Himalayan owner. I've been very comfortable on this bike. Some people I've seen online, a lot of people actually have put risers on the handlebars. I'm a little bit surprised. I suppose I have a little bit longer arms for my height, maybe, like my arms are as long as somebody else, but still, I would never put risers on this. I feel quite comfortable on this bike as is. But it's, you know, everybody's own opinion, and other people have different issues and aches and pains and things like that they feel. So I get it if somebody wants to put some risers on, but I wouldn't. This bike has been perfect for me. Again, I'm 5'6", I got a 31-inch inseam. Let me show you how I touch, because it's not great. I would like to touch better. You know, it's not the tips of my toes, but depending on what boots and shoes I've got on, it's kind of like the ball of my foot, mostly. The nice thing is that the bike is so light that even only being able to touch so well, it's fine. I mean, you know, it's easy. I keep saying, you know. I gotta catch myself on that. So it's nice and light. So on my Bandit, I can touch a little better than this because I lowered my Bandit. I still feel more comfortable even on this once I got used to it, and that's just because it's so much lighter. If the Bandit starts to go over, I mean, that 1200cc lump of an engine, once it starts to go, I can't save it. Whereas this, I might be able to hop my foot out, you know, a little further and get it back up. So, comfort is also a big plus for me. I haven't had a passenger on the back. I wish I had, because I'd like to give everybody some feedback on what the passenger thought, and the comfort of the seat and the placement of their pegs and all that sort of thing. And I'd like to be able to comment on how does the bike handle with all that weight on the back. But I did have my luggage on the back. That's a different kind of weight. It's not as heavy and it's down low. So I'd like to get someone seated back here. I just haven't done it yet, so sorry. It's probably one of the biggest disappointments for me, I guess, for this whole review, is that I'm not going to be able to comment on that. And the last big positive comment, positive thing that I found is the price, obviously. So you get so much functionality out of this machine. And then the equipment and the durability and whatnot, that I really think the money is well spent. Royal Enfield has obviously not necessarily cut corners, but they've implemented some, we'll call it tactics, to save money. So for instance, those zip ties for the wiring, or you pop the seat and you look at some of the like relays and things like that, and they're fitted into rubber, and you can tell that those components, some of them anyway, are from other models that Royal Enfield builds and sells. So they work, but you can tell that they weren't purposefully designed or manufactured for this bike. That's an acceptable way to me to cut some costs. I'm sure there's other things too, like, well, you saw in my, I think part 2 of my videos, the clamp for keeping the muffler on the exhaust pipe. That's obviously the same clamp that they have on other bikes, and it was chrome. And there's nothing on here that's chrome. So that's another way they're cutting costs. But that said, again, everything that you get and what you can do with this bike for $4,500, and then you might spend like $5 grand or a little bit more with shipping and setup fees or something like that, which, by the way, do try to get out of that. I paid all those fees. I mean, when I bought this thing, I was off and traveling and whatever, and they were willing to like take some money from me, and then the bike arrived and I still had to give them more money and all that stuff before I went and picked it up. So I had no real complaints. I just kept everything nice and simple. And it's not that I have a bunch of money to blow, because I do not. But I encourage everybody else to try to not have to pay these shipping charges and stuff like that. But there's tons of value in this machine, you know, for that $5,000 you might spend, tons of value. That's it. Let me run through that real quick again. So the shifting, the highway riding, the kind of sport riding or having fun with it, the tires, the easy, simple service, the accessibility of parts, you know, so you can get to everything and work on it if you need to. You don't got to rip a bunch of plastic off. The comfort and the price. These are all big pros for me. So, and let's face it, you go back and look at previous videos, I had a lot of fun. I had a good trip. It's been awesome. And that's it for that. I'm gonna get back on the road. Before I do that, no, let's get going. And keep an eye out for some moose. Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're gonna have some fun. Right here's where that moose crossed. It was really close, but in the video it looks far away. I hope I don't get stuck behind any traffic. Oh no, like this guy didn't even stop. Oh man. Butthead. Oh yeah, now you're gonna speed up. Like, oh, I'm so far ahead of you. No way, man, you're breaking the law. So what does everybody think about my, not my voice, but the quality of the recording of my voice using the Bluetooth from the Sena? I'm kind of curious. Nice pose. Okay. I don't want to be stuck behind this traffic. Let's do this. Pay attention because there's all these driveways, so you just gotta look nice far ahead. Another thing that's good to do is to not go off the edge. Would not be fun. Man, I hit my turn signal on that whole time. Hate that. The turn signal button, it kind of catches a little bit. So I got to push it nice and straight down and it'll turn them off. Sometimes I push it and it doesn't quite click. Come on, this thing is fun. soft ride. Handles fine. Brakes are adequate. Of course, I know this road, so it helps if you know it. Like this turn right here. But like I said, I can cruise through here quicker than on my Bandit because it's so much lighter for giving. The Bandit with the weight, despite the power, if you start to lose control, you're done for. So I just don't even push it that much. Right here, I didn't downshift. Slow down and then get on the gas again, so the torque on this thing is usable. And of course, caught somebody. Well, I guess that was to be expected. It's the middle of the day. We're just about done with the ride anyway. Getting pretty close to home. So once again, thanks so much for making this whole YouTube experience positive. And I really appreciate all the good feedback and encouragement from everybody. People all over the world. It's been so cool. Hopefully this review, as long as it probably was, hopefully it was useful and enjoyable. And I look forward to the upcoming videos. Sharing some of Alaska and sharing some more adventures with everybody. Consider subscribing, consider clicking like on the video, consider sharing the video, consider clicking the notification icon. I'm gonna keep doing everything I can to give everybody some good, entertaining, motorcycle related content. And on that, I am signing off.